All right, let's unpack this. Imagine reaching back like over 2,000 years
Right.
to one of the most brilliant strategic minds ever, Chanakya, a figure whose wisdom, well, basically built an empire from, disparate pieces.
Yeah, incredible stuff.
Now, picture taking that ancient foundational intelligence and applying it directly to today's world, specifically the complex, super fast-paced world of modern digital strategy.
It's like a bit of a leap, doesn't it?
It does, but that's exactly the fascinating idea behind an article we're doing a deep dive into today. It's called The Chanakya Code: Ancient Intelligence Meets Modern Digital Marketing for Unstoppable Success.
And the author who drew this connection, this really unique and I think incredibly insightful connection, is Srinidhi Ranganathan. He's really shown a light on how timeless these strategic principles are, showing that the core thinking used back then navigating ancient statecraft, it has these powerful parallels in, well, the challenges of digital influence and growth we see right now.
Absolutely. And he doesn't just, make a surface comparison.
No, not at all.
He gets right down into the mechanics of why it works. What Srinidhi Ranganathan's done here is, frankly, quite brilliant.
I agree.
He's taken the strategic DNA of Chanakya and shown, look, it's not about being the loudest voice online or in any room, really.
Right.
It's about playing a much deeper game, a more calculated game.
Wisdom, tactics.
Exactly. Wisdom, tactical execution, and that kind of relentless, focused intelligence that was Chanakya. He's basically handed us a framework for unlocking this ancient power in a totally modern setting.
And what I find particularly compelling about his work is how he translates those, big historical concepts, things like espionage or nation building.
Yeah.
He translates them into very specific, actionable ideas within digital marketing. It really bridges that gap between historical theory and modern practice. It feels both, revelatory and immediately useful.
And our mission here in this deep dive is to take Srinidhi Ranganathan's insights and maybe stretch them even further. We want to explore the concepts in his article, sure, but look specifically at how you, our listener, and we're thinking especially about students in India here, how you can leverage this very same Chanakya code. Not just for digital marketing, though that's the lens he uses, but for your own academic journey, your personal development, shaping your career, navigating that competitive world ahead.
So the goal is essentially to provide you with a kind of strategic blueprint for student success.
Exactly.
Srinidhi Ranganathan showed how Chanakya's intelligence applies to the digital world. We want to show you how it applies to building your future.
Right.
It's about helping you figure out what knowledge is truly important, how to get it effectively, and crucially, how to apply it strategically, to achieve your personal goals, your professional goals. Much like Chanakya applied his principles to build and sustain an actual empire.
So consider this your strategic training manual. We're about to unpack this Chanakya code using Srinidhi Ranganathan's framework as our guide.
Let's do it.
And discover how its ancient intelligence can become an incredibly powerful, very practical tool in your student life and definitely beyond. Get ready to think like a strategist.
Okay.
So let's start at the beginning then. Who actually was this figure, Chanakya? We hear names like Kautilya, Vishnugupta.
Yeah, known by several names. He wasn't a king himself, which is interesting.
Right.
But his impact on history is just massive. He was an extraordinary individual, a real polymath, a teacher at Takshashila, the ancient university.
Wow.
A philosopher, an economist, a brilliant strategist, and the key advisor to Chandragupta Maurya. He was the mastermind behind the curtains, orchestrating the rise of the Maurya Empire, which was one of the largest empires ever on the Indian subcontinent.
Yeah.
His major work, the Arthashastra.
Ah, yes, the Arthashastra.
It's this incredible treatise on statecraft, economic policy, military strategy, centuries ahead of its time, still studied intensely today.
Yeah. And Srinidhi Ranganathan's article specifically zeroes in on the intelligence of Chanakya. He breaks down its core strengths. What are some of the key aspects he pulls out?
Well, he points to several really critical facets of Chanakya's genius. One, probably the most famous, is his foresight and planning.
Okay.
Chanakya was legendary for seeing steps ahead, anticipating consequences, planning meticulously. He wasn't just reacting, he was actively shaping events, often, reverse engineering complex strategies from a desired future outcome.
And Srinidhi Ranganathan connects this to predictive analytics and digital marketing. So for a student listening now, maybe just worried about the next assignment, how does that kind of foresight even apply?
Yeah, that's where the perspective shift is crucial. In digital marketing, predictive analytics means using data to guess customer behavior, market trends, campaign results, right? For a student, foresight is applying that same principle to your own journey. It's not just reacting to deadlines, it's anticipating future challenges. Maybe the difficulty of courses down the line, the demands of competitive exams like JG or NEET, or what the job market actually needs in your field. You use foresight to reverse engineer your whole academic path. If you want to work in AI in 5 years, okay, what math and coding skills do you need to start building today? How does that shape your course choices right now?
So you're studying for the future you, not just tomorrow's test.
Exactly. It stops you from just cramming. You build knowledge strategically, like compound interest. It's about foresight for your entire trajectory.
Okay, that makes it really practical. Thinking years ahead, not just days. What's the next strength he highlights?
Manipulation and influence. Now, Chanakya was a master of understanding human nature, what motivates kings, ministers, citizens, even enemies. He knew how to shape perceptions, influence outcomes through very strategic communication and actions. Srinidhi Ranganathan connects this to psychological branding.
Psychological branding. For a student, it sounds a little bit manipulative, maybe in a bad way.
That's a really important point, and we're understanding Srinidhi Ranganathan's interpretation is key. It's not about negative manipulation, not at all.
Okay.
It's about understanding psychology to build a compelling and, importantly, authentic identity that resonates. In digital marketing, it's crafting a brand that connects emotionally or on a value level. For a student, this translates directly to crafting your personal brand.
Your personal brand, okay.
How do you want people, professors, peers, potential mentors, future employers, how do you want them to see you? It's about influencing your study group positively by being prepared, contributing good insights. It's presenting your ideas persuasively in class. It's building a reputation for being reliable, curious, skilled in your area.
So it's strategic self-presentation, not being fake.
Precisely. It's effective communication and reputation building, not manipulation.
That distinction feels crucial. Okay, what about stealth tactics? The article mentions espionage, information warfare. Sounds intense.
Yes, the realm of Guptachar. In ancient times, this literally meant spies, intelligence networks.
Right.
Srinidhi Ranganathan smartly translates this to stealth SEO and data intelligence in the digital world. Now, stealth SEO isn't necessarily like hidden activity. It's more about a deep, often unseen understanding of how systems work, like search algorithms and how competitors operate, using data to find subtle advantages.
Okay, so for a student, how does that translate?
For a student, this is about mastering research and information gathering strategically. It's not just finding info for an assignment, it's finding the right info. It's understanding unspoken expectations by analyzing old exam papers or job descriptions with, like, a forensic eye.
Reading between the lines.
Exactly. Gathering intelligence discreetly for group projects, observing team dynamics, figuring out what the professor really wants. It's understanding the algorithm of how things get evaluated, whether it's grades or hiring, so your efforts actually get noticed and have impact.
Data as your intelligence network. That's fascinating. Next strength. Sacrifices for strategy. Chanakya was famous for making tough calls, often emotionally difficult ones, based purely on strategic need, not personal feelings. Srinidhi Ranganathan parallels this with emotional neutrality in A/B testing.
A/B testing. Could you just quickly explain that for anyone maybe not familiar with the marketing jargon?
Sure, absolutely. A/B testing is pretty simple. You want to test something, say an ad headline or a website button color. You create two versions, A and B.
Sure.
You show version A to one group, version B to a similar group. Then you just look at the data. Which version performed better against your goal? More clicks, more signups.
Got it.
The key is you picked the winner based only on the data, the performance metrics, not on which one you personally liked better. You stay emotionally neutral about your creative ideas.
Okay, makes sense. So for a student, applying that emotional neutrality, how does that play out?
This is hugely important for resilience. As a student, you might pour effort into one study method or a project idea or how you approach job applications.
But what if the results aren't there? Your practice scores aren't improving, the project feedback is harsh, you get rejected. It's so easy to get discouraged, frustrated, emotionally attached to that effort. Chanakya's principle, filtered through A/B testing, teaches you to step back. Look at the results, the data, objectively, like a digital marketer looking at conversion rates. Is your current study method, version A, working? Could trying version B be better? Is your project approach hitting the mark? If the data says no, you analyze why objectively, adjust your strategy, and move on, without letting the emotional hit derail you.
So you iterate based on results, not feelings.
Exactly. Strategic iteration.
That's a really powerful way to handle setbacks. Turns them into data points, not personal failures.
Precisely. It empowers you to learn and adapt much faster.
Okay, and the final core strength Srinidhi Ranganathan highlights.
Nation building through ideology. Chanakya didn't just grab territory, he built a cohesive state. An ideology that unified diverse people, created a stable, lasting empire. Srinidhi Ranganathan connects this to building loyal communities that become ecosystems.
For students, building communities, that's more than just like making friends.
So much more.
Yeah.
In digital marketing, it's creating a loyal following around a brand, people who share its values, its mission. For a student, this is about building your network and actively contributing to the ecosystems you're part of, collaborating effectively in group projects, contributing positively to your college culture clubs, events, building genuine relationships with peers, professors, mentors. These aren't just contacts on LinkedIn. They're your support system, sources of knowledge, potential opportunities, future colleagues maybe. Building these relationships, contributing to your community academic or professional. It's like building your own mini empire based on shared values and mutual support.
So for our listener, if they take all these principles together, foresight for long-term planning, influence through strategic communication, data as spycraft, handling setbacks neutrally, building community, how does applying this Chanakya-inspired strategic thinking really change their whole approach to student life and career?
Well, it fundamentally transforms you. You go from someone who just does things, goes to lectures, hands in assignments, applies for jobs, to someone who strategically navigates their environment. Instead of feeling overwhelmed by all the work or the competition, you approach challenges with an actual plan, guided by data and foresight. Instead of just hoping someone notices you, you actively shape your personal brand and leverage your network. It's like shifting from being a passenger on your academic journey to being the architect, the commander, building your kingdom of success one strategic move at a time. And Srinidhi Ranganathan's framework really gives you the blueprint for developing that strategic mindset.
Right. And his article then neatly organizes this intelligence into what he calls the 7 pillars of Chanakya intelligence, translating them explicitly into these digital marketing principles. Let's dive into those pillars, see how they form a kind of student strategy blueprint, drawing on what we just discussed.
Absolutely. These are the foundations. Pillar number 1 is needy policy.
Okay, needy. The article describes this as pragmatic ethics, a brand's core belief system, its North Star. Practical, not idealistic, focusing on ROI, return on investment.
Exactly. For a student, your needy is defining your academic and career North Star. What's the ultimate purpose behind your education, the work you want to do? And your needy needs to be pragmatic, not just a vague dream, but the actual guiding policy for your actions.
Right.
Which subjects should you really focus on because they align with this North Star? Which skills offer the best ROI for your limited time and energy in terms of actually moving you towards your goal? Avoid the student equivalent of vanity metrics.
Like what?
Like, chasing easy courses just for high marks if they don't build foundational skills for your field. Or spending hours on activities that look good, but don't genuinely contribute to your core development. Measure your progress pragmatically against your stated policy, your needy.
So it's having a clear practical purpose and making tough choices sometimes to stick to it, even when other things might seem appealing.
Precisely. Your education, your career path, they should be a direct execution of your personal needy. Takes discipline, takes clarity.
Okay. Pillar 2. Shatru Vinash, enemy destruction.
Yeah.
Wow, that sounds quite aggressive. The article links it to eliminating rivals, intense competitor audits, mapping keyword wins, content warfare.
Yeah, and again, we need to translate this carefully for the student context. It's definitely not about literal destruction.
Okay.
In digital marketing, it's about knowing your competitive landscape inside out, analyzing what competitors do well, mapping keyword wins, finding their weaknesses or underserved areas, attacking gaps. For a student, your enemies are the challenges and competition you face.
Like exams, admissions, jobs.
Exactly. Competitive exams, limited spots in programs or internships, a saturated job market, even just tackling a really tough subject that feels like an enemy. Your competitor audit is intensely researching the requirements of these situations. What do top universities really look for? What skills do companies actually demand for entry-level roles?
And the rivals could be the other students applying for the same spot.
Yes. You analyze profiles of successful candidates or peers. What qualifications, projects, experiences did they have? Understand the benchmark. Then you find the gaps, not just where others are weak, but where you can genuinely differentiate yourself and offer something unique or better. Use content warfare on your application materials.
Resume essays.
Your resume, your statement of purpose, your portfolio, even exam answers. Make them strategically stand out. How can your essay outpersuade the committee? How can your project report show insights that are clearer or deeper than others might offer? Remarketing could even mean strategically tailoring your follow-up after an interview based on what you learned. It's about tackling competition with intense analysis and strategic differentiation.
So turning competition from something scary into something you analyze and strategically outmaneuver.
Exactly. A tactical approach grounded in really deep understanding.
Next up, Sam, Dam, Dand, Bed. Persuade, pay, punish, divide. That's a classic Chanakya strategy. Srinidhi Ranganathan applies it to a full digital strategy. Irresistible hooks, targeted ads, counteroffers, deep differentiation.
Yeah, this fourfold strategy is a masterclass in persuasion and strategic interaction. For a student, think about applying these in situations where you need to influence things, presenting a project, interviewing, negotiating a role in a group.
Yeah.
SEM, persuade. Use compelling communication. Craft irresistible hooks for presentations, project proposals, the start of your essays or cover letters. Make that first impression captivating. Structure your arguments logically. Persuade.
Got it. Dam.
Pay. Chanakya often meant literal wealth, but for a student, this is about strategic investment of your valuable resources, not bribery.
Right, not bribery.
It's investing your most precious assets, focused time on high-impact skills, using your network strategically, getting insight to recommendations, maybe investing in a specific course or tool that gives you an edge. It's putting resources where they give the biggest strategic return, like how targeted ads reach the right audience.
Makes sense.
Damned. Punish. This is about addressing challenges and counter-arguments skillfully. In an interview, be ready for tough questions, defend your ideas. In a debate, counter opposing views effectively. The article links this to exposing market misinformation. For a student, it's like identifying common misconceptions in your field or flaws in opposing arguments and presenting a stronger position. It's both defense and counteroffense. Bet, divide. This is deep differentiation. How do you stand out? In applications or interviews, figure out the specific needs or pain points of the institution or company. Then show how your unique mix of skills, experiences, or perspective is the ideal solution, differentiating you from others. Segment your appeal based on their needs, making yourself seem uniquely suited.
So it's a really versatile toolkit for any situation where you need to advocate for yourself or your ideas.
Absolutely. It gives you a structured way to approach persuasive strategy in different scenarios.
Okay, pillar number 4, Guptachar, espionage. The article mentions data mining, audience behavior tracking, heat maps, funnel analysis.
As we touched on, this is all about data intelligence. In the digital world, it's using tools to understand user behavior, where they click, heat maps, where they stop engaging, funnel analysis, what they're actually doing.
Yeah.
For a student, it's becoming a data scientist of your own journey and your environment. Use heat maps on your study habits. When are you most productive? Which topics take the most time? And is it efficient time? Where are your funnel drop-offs? You know, the complex ideas where your understanding breaks down, or the project steps where you always get stuck.
And buyer personas. How does a student create those?
Think of your buyers as the people you need to understand or impress: professors, admissions committees, interviewers, even teammates. Build personas for them, not just based on their title, but on their behavioral signals. What kinds of questions do certain professors always ask? What do successful applications to your dream program actually emphasize when you analyze examples? What recurring challenges pop up in job descriptions for roles you want? Use social listening, quietly observe discussions on LinkedIn, academic forums, industry news to grasp the unspoken priorities, challenges, values of your target audience. This intelligence is pure gold. It lets you tailor everything precisely.
Data about myself, data about my target audience. That's some powerful spycraft for taking strategic action.
It really moves you beyond just guessing towards making informed decisions based on actual patterns and needs.
Okay, pillar 5, Yojana, strategy. Chanakya was the master of long-term planning. The article talks about growth hacking, 510-year plans, investing in evergreen assets like SEO, email lists, communities, owning media.
Absolutely. Chanakya's strategies were built to last, creating an empire that endured for generations. For a student, your Yojana is your long-term growth strategy. looking beyond graduation to your whole career. Your SEO isn't just for websites, it's building those foundational skills and deep knowledge that make you valuable and discoverable for opportunities over time.
Right.
Your email list and communities are your professional network. Invest consistently in building real relationships, peers, mentors, alumni, industry contacts. These are evergreen assets. They pay off throughout your career.
And owning media, what does that mean for a student?
It means building your own persistent platform, not just relying on, say, fleeting social media trends. It could be a well-curated LinkedIn profile showing your projects and insights, a personal website or blog detailing your work and thoughts, a portfolio site. It's your space where you control the narrative and showcase your value consistently.
Okay.
And evergreen funnels for personal growth. Think about setting up ways you consistently provide value, maybe sharing study notes, contributing expertise in group projects, mentoring younger students. This naturally leads to opportunities, deeper connections, and positions you as a leader or expert over time. It's strategic investment in your personal brand and network that just keeps compounding.
So it's about building lasting value and presence, not just chasing quick wins.
Exactly. A Chanakya level strategy is all about sustainable compounding growth.
Got it. Pillar 6, Sankhya analytics, data-driven governance, tracking metrics, dashboards, real-time decisions.
So if Guptachar is gathering the data, Sankhya is the systematic analysis and application of that data for making decisions. In digital marketing, you set up dashboards, track KPIs, conversion rates, customer lifetime value, etc., and make rapid decisions based on the numbers.
Right.
For a student, this is being data-driven about your own performance and progress. Track key metrics. Hours studied versus actual understanding. Success rates on different practice problem types. Performance trends in certain subjects. Themes and feedback you get. Use simple tools. Spreadsheets, study apps, even structured journaling as your personal war room dashboard. Make real-time decisions based on this data. If your analytics show a study method isn't working, change it quickly. If feedback keeps highlighting a specific weakness, focus your efforts there. It takes the emotion out of assessing yourself and focuses purely on measurable improvement.
It turns self-assessment from just a feeling into objective data points.
Precisely. It allows for rapid, informed iteration and continuous improvement based on what's actually happening.
And finally, Pillar 7, Dharma, higher purpose. The article talks about linking success with a larger good, a social angle, inspiring stories, brands as ideologies.
Yeah, Chanakya's actions, even the ruthless ones, were ultimately aimed at establishing a stable, prosperous empire for the people's welfare. For a student, Dharma is connecting your academic and career goals to a higher purpose or a social angle. Why are you pursuing this field? What positive impact do you hope to make?
Right.
This higher purpose becomes your ultimate motivator, your ethical compass, tying back to needy, pragmatic ethics, and a powerful differentiator. Tell the story of your journey, challenges, motivations, vision. Turn your experiences into a kind of hero journey in applications or networking. Aim to build your personal brand not just as skills on a list, but as representing an ideology or vision that resonates, maybe a passion for sustainable tech, a commitment to public health, a vision for education.
So it's not just about personal success, but about contributing to something bigger than yourself.
It gives your strategy depth, meaning, makes your journey compelling to you and inspiring to others. These 7 pillars, as Srinidhi Ranganathan lays them out, really provide this comprehensive, incredibly relevant framework for students to approach everything strategically.
That is a powerful framework. Okay, let's make it even more tangible now. We've talked about the pillars. Drawing from Srinidhi Ranganathan's interpretations, how would a student actually use these principles in a specific, really high-pressure situation? Let's walk through a practical scenario using this Chanakya code.
Excellent idea. This is where the theory hits the battlefield, so to speak. What's the challenge we're setting up?
All right, let's picture our listener, a final year engineering student, worked incredibly hard, just got interview calls from 2 top companies. One is the absolute dream company, super competitive. The other is a very solid backup. Interviews are close together. They're feeling immense pressure, totally overwhelmed by preparing for 2 different companies, knowing they need to stand out from maybe hundreds of other strong candidates, feeling the weight of expectation. How did they tackle this using the Chanakya code blueprint?
Oh yeah, a classic high-stakes situation.
Yeah.
Many students face this. It feels daunting for sure, but it's exactly the kind of challenge that Chanakya's strategic thinking is built for. Let's break it down, step by step, applying Srinidhi Ranganathan's pillars.
Okay, where do they even start? Just dive into practicing coding problems like crazy.
That's the knee-jerk reaction, right? But a Chanakya-minded student begins with Guptachar. Espionage data intelligence. Your intel network isn't just textbooks now. Your targets are the companies and specifically the interviewers. Dive deep. What are the company's recent projects? Financial news, stated values, company culture nuances. Use LinkedIn. Research the interviewers' backgrounds. What projects have they worked on? What skills do they highlight? Any articles or posts they've shared? This isn't stalking. It's intel gathering on their priorities. Check Glassdoor for typical interview questions, process details. Use company websites, industry news for insights into their current tech challenges or business goals. Set micro goals for this research phase, like identify 2-3 key challenges each company faces that your skills could address. Find one specific recent project for each interviewer to maybe ask about. List the top 5 most frequently asked technical topics for each company based on your research.
Okay, so I've gathered all this specific intel. Now, how do I use Chatrouvinache competitive analysis? My competitors are like all the other qualified students applying, right?
Exactly. You can't analyze every single competitor, obviously, but you can analyze the competition landscape and the target's needs as your enemy. The enemy's gap is the company's unfilled need, or the specific problem this role is designed to solve. Most candidates will just list their skills. Your competitive analysis is understanding what the typical strong candidate profile looks like, and then figuring out where you offer something different or better that specifically hits the company's needs or fills that role's gap. What common tech skills will everyone likely have? Where can you differentiate? Maybe a unique project, a niche tech, a different perspective. Use content warfare in your resume and interview answers.
Okay.
Make them not just technically correct, but strategically framed to address the specific company pain points you found through your Guptachar. Practice articulating how your past project directly solves a problem similar to one they face. Don't just describe the project.
So it's about finding the company's vulnerability or need and positioning myself as the strategic answer to that.
Precisely. You're not just another qualified candidate. You're the strategically aligned candidate. Now bring in SOM, DAM, DAND, PED, persuasion tactics, during the interview itself.
Okay.
HAM, persuade. Compelling communication. Start answers with a strong statement of the problem you solved or the impact you made. Frame experiences as clear stories. Show genuine enthusiasm for the specific work the company does, informed by your Guptachar.
Right.
Make your passion persuasive.
Right.
Pay. Again, not literal money here. It's leveraging resources strategically. Maybe you have a connection alumni, friend at the company you can get insights from beforehand. That's strategic use of your network. It's investing focused time, practicing interview questions tailored to that company's likely focus area. DAND, punish. Prepare to handle tough questions skillfully. Challenges to your technical approach. If asked about a weakness, frame it as an area of current growth, backed by specific actions you're taking. If there's a tech topic you're weaker on, acknowledge it honestly, but pivot to a related strength or demonstrate your problem-solving process. Mitigate weaknesses strategically. Defend your core capabilities.
Okay.
Dovite, your deep differentiation. Based on your Guptachar and Chatrouvinache analysis, what makes you uniquely suited for this specific role at this specific company? A particular project experience that aligns perfectly. A rare combo of technical and soft skills. Articulate that unique value clearly. Don't just say, I'm a good problem solver. Say something like, my experience on Project X taught me how to approach complex distributed system problems, which seems really relevant to the scalability challenges you mentioned on your engineering blog. And here's how to think about tackling that.
Wow. Applying SAM, DAM, DAND, BED, that turns every interaction into a strategic move.
It really does. You're not just reacting. You're actively shaping their perception, demonstrating your strategic value. Next, Uchana. Strategy. This isn't just about this interview. It's the overall campaign plan.
Right, the bigger picture.
How will you manage prep for 2 different companies? What are your key milestones leading up to the interviews? What's your follow-up strategy afterwards, tailored for each company based on your Guptachar? What's your plan B if the dream job offer doesn't happen?
Thinking about the whole campaign, not just one battle.
Exactly. And Sankhya, analytics.
Wow.
How do you use data here? Record yourself practicing answers. Analyze your fluency, clarity, content that's your performance data.
Okay.
Get feedback from mock interviews. Treat it as objective data on where you need to improve. After the real interviews, analyze what went well, what questions tripped you up, what the interviewers seem most interested in. Use this data, even if you don't get an offer, to refine your strategy for next time. Don't let the outcome cloud your analysis of the process itself.
And finally, emotional mastery. Facing 2 huge interviews. That's incredibly stressful.
Yeah, and this is where Chanakya's detachment is so key. Acknowledge the pressure, sure, but don't let it paralyze you or cloud your judgment during the interview. Focus on executing your plan, delivering your tailored points, engaging strategically. If you stumble on a question, don't panic. Analyze it objectively. Gather your thoughts, just like analyzing a data dip. If you get rejected later, it's disappointing, of course, but apply Sankhya. Analyze the reasons objectively based on feedback or your own assessment. Maintain that intellectual detachment from the immediate emotional result and focus on the long-term goal, your career journey.
Applying the code like this really transforms the interview process. It goes from being this stressful unknown to a structured, strategic campaign where you actually have a clear plan.
It gives you agency, doesn't it?
Yeah.
You shift from feeling like a passive candidate being judged to feeling like an active strategist executing a plan. That significantly boosts confidence and effectiveness. And Srinidhi Ranganathan's framework provides that mental model to do exactly that.
That detailed scenario walkthrough is incredibly helpful, makes the abstract principles really concrete. Now, Srinidhi Ranganathan's article also mentions the digital Chanakya's toolkit and suggests adopting certain strategic personas based on Chanakya's ministers. How can students think about their own toolkit and roles?
Yeah, think of your toolkit as your modern arsenal, your spies, soldiers, and horses for the academic and professional battlefield. The digital marketing tools Srinidhi mentions, they have student equivalents.
Okay, like Hunter.io or Apollo.io being a digital spy network. What's the student version of that?
Your digital spy network is using resources like LinkedIn strategically for researching people and companies, exploring university alumni databases for networking insights, using academic search engines effectively to find the most impactful research, maybe using Google Scholar alerts to stay current on specific topics. It's using online resources specifically for intelligence gathering.
And AI tools like ChatGPT or Jasper as strategic content creation.
Used judiciously, ethically. AI can be a powerful strategic assistant.
Right.
Help summarize dense research papers quickly. It's data synthesis. Brainstorm different angles for an essay outline strategy generation. Refine the wording of your resume or cover letter for more impact communication strategy. Maybe even generate practice questions on a topic. It's a tool to enhance your output and efficiency, like having a quick strategic content generator, freeing up your core thinking.
Google Data Studio or Mixpanel as the War Intelligence Command Center.
Your equivalent. Could be using spreadsheets to track your academic metrics over time grades, study time versus scores, project management apps to break down big assignments, dedicated study tracking apps giving insights into your learning. These are your dashboards for monitoring progress, spotting weaknesses, those data dips, and keeping your strategic plan on track.
And SEO Surfer or Market Muse as weaponized knowledge.
This means mastering the process of acquiring deep, high-quality knowledge, effectively using academic databases, knowing how to evaluate research credibility, leveraging online learning platforms for specialized skills, diving deep into foundational texts. It's about becoming a real expert in your domain, getting knowledge that's not just broad, but deep and strategically relevant. That gives you an edge.
So it's about using these modern tools with that strategic mindset, not just because they're convenient.
Precisely. They become force multipliers for your intelligence and your efforts. Now, about those strategic personas, Chanakya had different ministers for different jobs. As a student navigating your path, you kind of need to consciously embody different roles at different times.
Okay.
The Sutrahar, storyteller.
Yeah.
That's you crafting your personal narrative, how you talk about your experiences, your goals, your unique journey. Essential for applications, networking, the Guptachar analyst. The role you play when you're researching, analyzing data, academic results, market trends, dissecting complex problems, understanding the underlying dynamics, the Vaidya, healer. Often overlooked, but so critical. This is you managing stress, bouncing back from setbacks, maintaining your mental and physical well-being. Resilience is a key strategic asset.
Definitely.
The Yoda warrior. That's you taking action, facing challenges head on, putting in the hard work, defending your ideas, pushing forward towards your goals with determination.
It's like having a little cabinet of advisors inside your own head, pulling out the right one for the task.
Exactly. Recognizing these roles helps you understand the different demands of navigating student and early professional life strategically. And all these roles benefit massively from emotional mastery, which Srinidhi Ranganathan also emphasizes.
Yes, he talks about Chanakya's cold logic, not falling in love with one idea, analyzing data objectively, not getting furious over negative feedback.
That intellectual detachment is just vital for students. Don't get so attached to a project idea you can't objectively evaluate criticism. Don't let frustration from a tough subject or a rejection letter cloud your ability to analyze why it happened and adjust. Your feelings are valid, absolutely. But for strategic decision making, you need to be able to look at the data, the situation, your options with a clear, unbiased mind. Like a digital marketer analyzing campaign results without ego getting in the way.
That detachment really is key to learning from failure and adapting effectively.
It's the bedrock of continuous improvement and strategic resilience.
Srinidhi Ranganathan's article also ties these ideas to lessons from history and business cases, distilling them into 10 actionable laws that feel very relevant for student success. Can we maybe touch on a few of those?
Absolutely. These laws are great guiding principles.
Yeah.
Every campaign is a war. Prepare accordingly for a student. Approach every significant challenge. Big exams, crucial job applications, complex projects, not just as another task, but as a strategic campaign. Needs meticulous planning, resource allocation, dedicated prep, like a military operation.
Right. Yes.
Know your enemy better than yourself. Apply this to knowing your subject matter inside out, understanding the exact requirements and criteria for courses or applications, analyzing the challenges or competition more thoroughly than anyone else. Master persuasion. Words matter more than ad spend. Your ability to communicate your knowledge, ideas, value clearly, persuasively, in writing, speaking, interviews, is often more critical than just sheer effort. Strategic communication amplifies impact.
That's a good one.
Build an empire, not just a brand. Focus on building a solid foundation.
Yeah.
Deep knowledge, fundamental skills, strong relationships, a reputation for integrity, competence. That creates lasting value, opens doors throughout your career. Don't just chase superficial success markers. Use AI like a hidden army, like we discussed with the toolkit. Leverage tech strategically, ethically to enhance learning, analysis, research, communication.
Right.
Lead with vision. Always connect what you're doing now back to your higher purpose, your dharma, your nidhi. Let that clear vision of why you're on this path guide your decisions and fuel that relentless focus.
These laws really hammer home the strategic mindset. And the business case studies he mentions, Netflix versus Blockbuster, Tesla, Dollar Shave Club, they serve as real-world proof that these principles actually work, don't they?
Exactly. Srinidhi Ranganathan uses these to show that thinking like Chanakya isn't just ancient history or marketing talk. It's how successful ventures actually operate today. Netflix seeing the streaming future while Blockbuster was stuck. Pure foresight, Yajana.
Right.
Tesla's audacious goals, its cult following, built on powerful ideology, dharma, and strategic differentiation, but even turning weaknesses into strengths.
And Dollar Shave Club with that viral video.
Oh, brilliant application of psalm persuasion with humor, a killer hook, and paid deep differentiation by hitting a customer pain point. Expensive, inconvenient razors that big players ignored. They use guerrilla tactics, stealth, to challenge giants. These aren't just business school stories. They're modern examples of Chanakya's principles, foresight, strategy, differentiation, knowing the audience, effective communication leading to huge success by playing a smarter game. They show students these ancient principles are live, potent forces right now.
So these stories prove that applying strategic thinking, like a Chanakya, can genuinely lead to overcoming massive odds and hitting significant goals.
Precisely. They inspire by showing these aren't just abstract ideas, but practical paths to success when you apply them with intelligence and determination.
Wow. Okay, this deep dive into Srinidhi Ranganathan's article, The Chanakya Code, has been incredibly insightful. It really is remarkable how wisdom from, over 2 millennia ago, filtered through modern digital marketing strategy, gives such a concrete, actionable framework for students today.
It truly is. And Srinidhi Ranganathan has done a tremendous service by illuminating that connection so clearly. He's shown that by adopting this strategic mindset, focusing on defining your purpose with Nidhi, analyzing challenges with Shatru Vinash and Guptachar, executing with Sam, Dam, Dan, Ped, and Yajana, tracking progress with Sankhya, and staying grounded in your Dharma and emotional mastery, students really can navigate the complexities of academic life and the competitive world with, greater wisdom, tactical precision, and that relentless focus on achieving their goals.
Yeah, we've seen how these principles aren't just theories. They're practical tools, perspectives that can genuinely transform how you approach everything from studying for an exam to landing that dream job. It's about building your own empire of success, strategically, brick by brick. Srinidhi Ranganathan has effectively given you the code.
You have the ancient code. You have access to the modern tools. The battlefield is your academic and professional journey unfolding right in front of you. The question really is, are you ready to stop playing checkers and start playing Chanakya level chess with your future?